Welcome back to Incredible Conversations. Y'all, today we're getting energetic. So, this is more of a soulful podcast today. Very eager for this. Our guest is, she's gorgeous, she's intelligent, she's got everything going on, and she's going to give us the 411 on all things money, wealth, consciousness, along with how energetics play with that. So our special guest today is Rebekah. Sorry.
Sarino.
I'm so sorry. And she is a multidimensional healer, divine channel, and high level mentor focused on embodiment, awakening and balancing the polarity of masculine and feminine energetics, and bringing the mind, body, and soul into harmony within and with Source. So, Rebekah, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I have been so excited to dive into this with you. It's such an honor to be here. So thank you. And thank you for that beautiful introduction as well.
Absolutely. First and foremost, before we dive into the nitty gritty, I want to hear about your astrology big three and how that shows up for your own experience in life.
Okay. All right. So my big three. So Cancer is my sun sign, my rising sign, and I've got a Pisces moon. So I got a whole lot of water, a whole lot of water. But then for those astrology nerds out there, I've also got my Mercury, Venus, and Mars in Leo. So how that all plays into what I do, my chart is so literal to me. It's quite hilarious. Like as I've stepped into this purpose of mine, I am just a literal translation of my chart. So when you're a Cancer sun and an ascendant, that is very much those psychic intuitive gifts, right? We're just very in the ethereal world and we can connect to it pretty instantaneously because the veil is so thin for us. So that has always been a gift of mine, is just being able to tap in and tune into the energies around me. And didn't really know that obviously growing up. So that was always just like an internal kind of battle of what's going on? Why can I feel things so strongly? And then with the Pisces moon, again, just that heightened intuition, that really emotional waves, like feeling into the intuitive nature of life. And then you play into that Mercury and Mars and Venus in Leo, that's that fire energy. That's what my whole business is kind of based on, is that like empowerment, that rising from the ashes, that being in this like purposeful, powerful, empowered place, and using intuitive gifts and activating intuitive gifts within others to create magic. And boom, that's it. So it's what I do.
Well, I got full body tingles when you're speaking about all of that. And I've actually gotten to experience a little bit firsthand. Rebekah and I met through a membership that we're in. Shout out Magical Woman and Money, our queen, NB. Magical is an understatement. But during a time where there's this takeover and the members got to show up and share their gifts, Rebekah was one of those special people, and she got to share her Reiki magic with us. That focus was, I believe, around 888 or wealth at that time. And I am not joking. After that, $800 came to me like nothing easier than that. And it was unbelievable. So I'm really excited for you to share your Reiki story, how you got started, and really how you bring up that feminine and masculine energetic polarity in what you're doing.
Yes, yes, yes. I have chills like hearing you say that. Like this is why I do what I do, and I get to hear the tangible like results from my work. It's just so beautiful. I love it. Okay. Reiki magic, Reiki magic. So first question, how did it start? So a little backstory. I was in university at the time. I had just come back from like a year-long travel in Australia, trying to find myself, moving through all of these like I was at a pinnacle point actually of like, which way do I go? Do I like stay in this like toxic restaurant industry that I was working in, or do I go to work with kids with autism. Again, nowhere where I am right now. And when you can look back and see how each piece kind of brings you along that journey when you connect the dots. But it brought me back to Toronto to do my university. And when I was there, I had a concussion. But to back up from that for a second, the concussion happened the moment I asked for direction and clarity. So I had been just like studying so hard. I was like, had found yoga for the first time. I was doing everything you're meant to be doing, right? I was healthy. I was putting my purpose, what I thought was my purpose, to work. I was healing myself. I had quit drinking for the first time. I had just had my heart broken, but broken open for the first time. Like I actually allowed it to heal me and show me next steps. And like that's when the catalyst of quitting drinking happened, which then was the catalyst to yoga and mindfulness and all of that. And so as I was getting connected to this world, signs would show up and opportunities would show up. And one of them was this woman who was my first mentor, Layla. I can't remember her last name. That's my bad. But she was offering these free coaching sessions. And I had never had a coach. I always wanted one. And I was like, you know what? Yes, let's do it. I jumped in. She gave me one session. And in that session, had me write down what it is I was seeking. It was clarity and direction, and a push in the right direction is what I said. The next day, I slipped on ice and whacked my head and was out of commission for 3 months in complete darkness. And so what I mean by that is I couldn't write, I couldn't listen to music, I couldn't watch anything. I had to sit in my bed in complete darkness. I couldn't eat. I had the worst concussion. Like I was nauseous 24/7. And the only thing I was able to do was meditate. And again, I had never meditated before. I was not into that world yet, like at all. And so my first intro to that, and then I started healing myself in these meditations. And then I thought I was going to get like locked up or something. I'm like, I've lost my mind. I don't know what's happening. But like it was working. So I would go into these trance. So I would meditate for honestly up to 6 hours a day. Like it was pretty mental. So in 2-hour increments here and there throughout the day, like it was intense. And in these moments of connecting to source, I had this thing come over me where I just started moving my hands, and my hands would go to the areas that needed healing. And I would speak to my body and speak to the wisdom that it held within me, and was clearing stuff out, trauma that was stored within my body for years. And then these meditations I would do of like actually being led through my body, through my brain, reconnecting neural pathways in my meditation and healing my nervous system. And I was like, okay, I didn't know I could do this. This is next level stuff. What is happening? So that was kind of, and then from that point, I started seeking out alternative medicine, obviously. But on top of that, was it COVID? No, it hadn't been COVID yet. There were these options to do these online Reiki courses through this place called Zenden here in Vancouver. Anyways, through that, I started doing these little classes and realized like what she was doing to me was what I was doing to myself. So that's kind of how the journey began with it.
Oh my gosh. Is there any more clarity to the situation? All right, universe, I hear you. Put me in darkness for 3 months. Wow. How was that sitting in solitude, really being forced into such a channeled state with the fiery and that watery energy? How was that?
It was next level. It was hard. I'm not gonna lie, it was very hard. It forced me to surrender. I actually have this image of myself. I would take sage or incense and literally write in the air, surrender, trust, have faith. And like, cause it was like, you couldn't do anything else, right? Like you had to just surrender it all over and trust that this was leading to something bigger. And honestly, it was hard, but in the moment, it was actually so beautiful because in that, I lost all resentment, or released all resentment to where I was. And I was stuck in quotation in Toronto with my family, which I love them, but I wanted to be in Vancouver. I wanted to be in the West Coast with the oceans and the mountain. And so I visualized that every single day. I felt into the energy of where I was going. And I'm so grateful for that experience, because who else gets to spend that amount of time to just envision and clarify their vision of what they want for their life and feel it that potently? And like, I remember to this day, like imagining, honestly, this day in particular that we're speaking right now, which is so magical. I had dreamed of this community of like-minded women who were soul embodied humans who wanted to raise the collective consciousness. And I was wanting to be a coach and a mentor. I hadn't really thought of healer yet. And I was spending my mornings like running along the beach, working from the beach, working by the ocean, being interviewed, like creating my own podcast, like all of these things. And like today, this is what I'm doing. And it's just, it took 2 years, 3 years. But like, it's been a journey of like who I've become on that path, right? Like I couldn't have just envisioned this and then had it happen. Like I had to go through that to become this gifted woman that I am now, so I can channel this for everyone else.
You triple water sign. This is
Right?
so beautiful. The ocean, so healing. And now to bring it to modern day, present day, you are in Vancouver, correctly, and you're living that envisionment.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm living 2 blocks from the ocean in my apartment in Kits, which I, again, had been dreaming of forever. Kits is like this beautiful area in Vancouver that I never thought I'd be able to afford. To tie it back into money, never thought I'd be able to afford to live here, and let alone in my own apartment. Have that, my own business. I'm no longer working in the industry. I cut ties with all of the toxicity that was in my life, like those relationships. I used to have to rely on men to like pay my rent, like not like that, like in the sense of I was living with them in relationships and we lived together.
Yeah.
I never had a life outside of them. So this is like my first time on my own. Yeah.
We're diving into this. So, first and foremost, what was your experience with these toxic relationships, and what really helped you remove yourself out of those?
The concussion. It literally was everything. Okay. What hell? Okay. So the toxic relationships, all of that started, honestly, to tie it back, childhood, but then we'll go further with that to boyfriends. So I was in a very like emotionally abusive relationship at the beginning of my 20s. And that pattern just continued to repeat itself. But again, it was a catalyst to getting me out to Vancouver the first time, because that breakup taught me my power in a sense. Like it forced me to rise up from this codependency into this, again, divine trust of what's possible. And those relationships also came in with friendships, with alcohol, with drugs, with money. Like relationships in all senses were just at that time toxic, because I was vibrating, to bring it to energetics, I was vibrating at a very low level. Because when you start playing with drugs in a non-intentional way, I'm all for plant medicine. Plant medicine is what really opened me up to connect to my guides, to be honest, for the first time. And that was actually what allowed me to feel zero nausea during my concussion treatment. I did like microdosing of psilocybin, and game changer. But the other stuff, the toxic side of it, the duality of that is like they bring your vibration down. And when you're vibrating at that level, you're more susceptible to the energies around you. And as someone who's very open already, who is already very intuitive, I just sensed everything around me. So I just absorbed other people's energies and thought they were mine. So I was just, the only way to numb these gifts of mine, to stop that from happening, was alcohol, alcohol, alcohol. And then from there, to stop me, I definitely dove into other things, and to kind of balance that out. So it was just this game of constantly numbing my gifts is what it was.
Wow.
Constantly numbing my gifts. That was it. And once you can take space away and access, like, oh no, these gifts aren't something you need to numb. These are something you need to harness and bring out. That's when everything can begin to shift. And then you realize, I don't even want those people around me anymore, because they're just pulling the energy from me, right? It's no longer life giving, it's completely life stealing. And when you can access that within you, you just don't even attract that anymore, right? You attract love, pure energy. You attract the match of what you're vibrating at.
Mm. Mm. I love that because it's so true. So, for anyone who is a heavy water sign, whether you know it or not, really tune into this. If you seem to have a relationship with substances that are not intentional, ask yourself why. I love that. I've never heard someone explain it like that. Like, I was numbing out my gifts. That is super powerful. So when you stopped, like having, like you couldn't numb them out anymore, the concussion happened of you just like had to be in your own space, get out of those relationships, say goodbye to the restaurant industry, and you
Yeah.
began to heal yourself. What exactly was that? Like, how could you take the healing process from being in that solitary confinement almost to now bringing it out to the world? What was that transition like?
That was a journey, let me tell you. Yeah, it was a journey. Honestly, I feel like I've only just mastered it, to be honest. The journey of visibility, especially for women, is a huge, huge piece. It's the core of what I teach, actually, and what I lead my clients through, is especially around gifts. So these intuitive gifts as water signs, as women, if you connect back to our ancestors, we were all punished for being who we are. We were punished for our gifts, and our gifts were stolen from us and put into the patriarchy, given to the church to utilize. Like, there was so many different things. All of a sudden, only the church could preach and do all of these things, right? And it's in our DNA, it's in our cells, the remembrance of what happened to our ancestors, to our sisters, right? It's encoded in us. All of us came from the womb. This ties back into the work that I do as well, and that wealth activation that you received, is you can't have one without the other. Like, you, especially as women, we come, well, men too, we come from the mother line, right? And that mother line is infinitely connected to every other woman, and that remembrance, again, stored within us. So it's so important to kind of move through it and allow all the pain and the remembrance to come up, and not absorb it. Allow it, witness it, acknowledge it, thank them, and then let them go and choose you and choose your vision. And I guess the full circle moment of that, or is kind of just anchoring into your why above all else. Anchoring into your why and allowing that to kind of move you through it. And like, that visibility piece is, you just take one step. I could not be where I am if I just jumped. Like, that I needed this entire journey of unfolding, of becoming who I am at my core, at my authentic self. Like, it's a journey, and it's an ever evolving journey. And it's just about trusting the signs as they drop into your timeline.
What would help someone who, so maybe someone who's listening who's not so attuned to the the
Mhm.
soulful world, the sourceful world. What does it mean to, follow source, and what does it feel like to receive signs, if you can describe them?
I love this. Sorry, I have to just do this for a second. Okay. For someone who's not okay, ask me that question one more time and I just want to sit with it.
Yeah. So I'll start with one because I asked two questions. So one is how, like, what is source? Could you define source to someone who might not be familiar with what that is?
Okay. Yes. Love that question. Source is undefinable, which is great. Source is the all-encompassing energy of what we come from. You can call it God, you can call it universe. Source is all. Source is the source of everything. That's source. So connecting with source, surrendering to source simply means surrendering to the bigger aspect, surrendering to the limitless potentiality that exists within us and around us. It's connecting to Mama Gaia, like nature, like how it's infinite, how it replenishes itself, how it is abundant in nature. Like it's just innately abundant. And it's connecting to that energy and bringing that energy in. That is source. And when we align with source, when we can put our conditioning and our resistance and lean into that resistance rather than block it, we open up to the limitless. That is like where that wealth embodiment piece comes. It's like we embody then the limitless potential. We embody the infinite abundance that exists in this world. And then we get to create opportunities and experiences for other people through that. I don't know if I answered your question. That was channeled for you. There we go.
That was beautiful. And I felt that connection. That is perfect. And my second question is, how could someone notice signs? I know it can be hard to answer that because everyone has such particular signs, but if you could give some sort of hint to what someone might want to look for or feel.
Yeah, I love this question. I taught my mom this because I was like, you need to just enjoy life again, get that joy back. And the way to do it is to play with the universe and ask for signs. It's so much fun. Okay. So multiple ways you can do it if you want like a visual for those people who just like need to see things.
Mhm.
Honestly, just setting the intention. So you can write it down or say it out loud. Just setting the intention of, let's say you want to know if you're meant to take this path. Like, am I meant to quit my job? I'll give you an example that I did. Am I meant to quit this job? And then if I am, show me butterflies. So I actually asked for hummingbirds, but anyways, butterflies is another sign of mine. And you can't give a timeline with signs. Let me just gonna put that there because the universe doesn't play with timelines. It's on their own thing. But you can say, give it to me quickly. So I asked for a hummingbird and it came through. I saw a hummingbird as it was walking by. Then I was like, okay, no, I need something clear. I need to, like, that was just a coincidence. And then I had a client. No, I actually did give it a timeline. I said before 10 p.m. and no word of a lie, at 9:30, my client texted me this image of a hummingbird that she saw at her mom's house. I had not talked to her about this. Then I go onto Instagram, happened to scroll and saw an image of a hummingbird instantly. And so just to play on that is also don't take it literally. So one of the things with my mom, she was like, well, you saw a sign. I saw a sign through you. It doesn't count. And I was like, oh no, it counts. Be open to the ways in which it can show up. It can be a picture, an image, a word. Like, don't take it literally. Be open to the ways in which it shows. You can ask for those who are more clairsentient, so feeling more. You can ask for a feeling. You can ask or even just like tune in, like, am I meant to do this? This is an embodiment piece. Am I meant to do this? Feel, does it expand your heart or does it contract? And if it contracts, that's your answer. That's a no. Like there's fear and love. Fear contracts in the body, love expands. Always follow love because that is your truth.
I love that answer. That is amazing. Y'all, write this down. Take notes and try it out. I definitely have this weird connection with intuition, which I do want to ask you about. I feel like I'm a 8 out of 10. I trust it 80% of the time. And there's like 20% where I'm like, really? Was that it? Was that it? And so I really love like just talking to people who are in this world, mastering these lifestyles, because it really is just coming back to who we naturally are and trusting our natural rhythms. And so thank you for confirmation. It's always so helpful to have that over and over again. And I want to ask you now about Reiki and how, how do you start Reiki? What is that experience like? And yeah, just want to hear your magic. But I also want to say before answering or asking that question, for anyone who wants just like sweet, simple sauce, for asking for signs, be specific. That's what I took from that. Like, be as specific as you can. Should I quit this job? Can you let me know quickly? And I want the sign of this. So be specific. If you're just being general, it's going to be really hard for the universe to give you what you want. So just want to clarify that.
110% be specific and remember what you asked for. Yes. So write it down because there's signs showing up for you every day. Another thing, like numbers show, I'm just going to sideline into that quickly.
Yeah.
If you didn't ask for a sign, but just want to know that you're on the right path, angel numbers will appear for you. So 111, 333, 222, 888, they all mean something else. They all mean different things. But when you see those repetitive numbers, that's a sign that you're being led. That is a sign from the universe that you're going in the right path. That's one of the many.
Love that. And when you do see angel numbers, is it the thought that you're having in that moment, like as one way to say, like, oh, what is this angel number confirming or guiding me to?
Yeah, you can definitely play that way. I get so many different numbers, so I stopped with that. But like sometimes I'll look and be like, what does that mean? Like 888 is abundance, right? That means money is coming your way. That means you're in deep alignment with money and it's coming. Yeah, like 222, I think is again, right path. You're on the right path. So in that moment, if you are doubting, it's a good reminder to be like, no, actually, hey, I'm here. I'm on the right path. And yeah, 111 is the one when you're thinking, pay attention to your thoughts.
Okay.
And like switch to the thoughts that you want to be thinking rather than the thoughts that you don't, right? Like that game of like focusing on what you do want versus the absence of what you don't have.
Love that.
Absence of what you want. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. I love that. Thank you. Okay. And now back to the other question. Reiki. Yes. How do we perform it? How do we get into that flow of energy, and any tools or tips and tricks you might have for us?
Yes. Well, as a Reiki master, I now get to attune people and certify you as level 1 and level 2 Reiki practitioners. So very exciting. That's going to come in the fall, actually in September, which I'm very excited for. So stay tuned for that. How it works. So when you introduced me, you mentioned divine channel. So to be a channel, we always are channeling. We can all be channels if we are open to it, right? So the idea is Reiki is life force energy, okay? Just like breath. The idea is you need to be attuned to Reiki in order to channel it, aka channeling from source into the body or into your hands and then outward. So basically, I'm a conduit of energy. I'm a conduit of Reiki energy, and I then transmit that to others. The way it works, level 1, you become a healer for yourself. So you must heal yourself first before you can heal others. Level 2, you heal others. And then master, you're able to teach others and heal. When you become a master, it's next level. I can't even, it's your healing gifts just amplify beyond belief. But level 1 is very beautiful because it opens you up to the channel. So it opens your channels up to receive, heals your chakras, opens them up, allows you to then pour that energy through your hands. So again, my method has transformed a lot, but generally it's, you just activate it, you call it on, you're given symbols, you activate it, you call it on, and then you just move your hands around your body to the spaces in which there's blockages. And like when I move, you'll notice like my hands will stop in certain areas, and like it's a magnetic pull, and different, sometimes your hand will heat up, or it can get cold. There's different static situations that all represents different blockages. So it can be an energetic block, it can be an actual illness, it can be an injury, and you can all tell by the different static in your hand. So that's the beginning of it. It goes quite deeper. The practice evolves, but yeah, I think everyone should be attuned to it just because it raises your frequency above all else. So level 1, because you're healing yourself, you're healing you. So, and what happens is you're given a 21-day practice afterwards, and in which you're supposed to practice on yourself. So 21, it's intense, very intense, but it's beautiful because you become attuned and in tune with the energy, and you get to know it, and you get to talk to it, and from that you can channel other, to go deeper on it, you channel other beings, like depending on your gifts. Like I can tap into different goddesses and ascended masters, and like that starts heightening your clairsentience, your clairaudience, all of your clairs heighten, and you get to begin to play with that. And then yeah, level 2, you get to then heal others and send it to others.
I am so interested in Reiki. I am so interested in it. I don't have a lot of water in my chart, astrology wise. However, I feel like I have a lot of air, and like even in my third house, it's third house of Gemini is Capricorn for me, and my Jupiter's there along with my Neptune and Uranus. So I feel like there's some a pull down there that's like, all right, hey, let's start messaging for this for your greater good. But when we go into, Reiki attunement, are there any practices or tips that you like to start out with? Like when you were doing that to yourself when you had your concussion, what was working for you?
It's honestly, it's different for everyone because it's such an intuitive method of doing things. So everyone is different. What I do generally is, this is why when I have attuned my clients who work one-on-one with me, because I want everyone to be attuned to Reiki. So I add that to our work together. And their experience is very different than what mine was, and I think it all comes into which level you want to, how deep you want to take it. But basically you call on the energy, and then you move it, you get yourself into a meditative state, call on the energy, and you just you play with it, you see what comes through, you see what happens, and within that, without you even knowing, it just, the energy just calibrates to you, your cells regenerate, everything starts shifting, you're ridding yourself energetically of trauma, to be honest. Like, and it still comes, like it can be, that's why I always suggest, like when I'm doing my certifications, I want to be very present for the 21-day practice, because I didn't have that, and it can bring up a lot and it can be beautiful, but it's also, I think, being held in that space of like unraveling the unhealed stuff within us can be overwhelming at times. But to play on that was actually the one thing that allowed me to fully heal from my addictions completely, like without 12 steps, without, and I'm not, anyone who is in doing that, I support it 100%, but I find it can just reiterate the issues. It's all cerebral versus embodying. And when we can clear the energy of why we're coping, of why we're addicted to things, it can heal completely. And like those tendencies, I remember there was this moment 3 years ago after the concussion. I came back to Vancouver for a summer, and I quit drinking, but I hadn't done Reiki yet. And I hadn't done that training yet. And I reverted back to my addictions for 3 months. And I came back to Toronto, took the Reiki healing certification. That next summer, when I came back to Vancouver, I was a different person. I had no interest, in even leveling with alcohol or drugs. I could be around my friends who were drinking, which in the past, there's no way I could have done that. And there's a space at the back of your head, at the brainstem, where they say addictions are health. This is where my concussion was.
Huh. Go figure.
Thank you, universe. So I was forced to heal that.
Yes.
But there is a space here. And my Reiki master, 2 of the Reiki masters I worked with mentioned the same thing. They were also dealt with addictions in the past. Heal this area. You can literally rewire, heal the nervous system, and you no longer crave anything to numb you.
This really shows that people think that healing is like hogwash because they don't tap into the energetic feeling of what they're trying to heal. Like when we rewire the brain or we hear subconscious changing or whatever the case, it really is like getting into a different state of mind, a different state of body. And so I really love how you're putting an emphasis on that. When you work with embodiment and different energetics, can you explain what that looks like?
What it looks like. I love that question because for me, everything is like a feeling. Okay, so what it looks like. In what form? In my eyes or for the person going through it, receiving my healing?
Ooh. However you feel called to answer it. I would say like what how you work with somebody to bring that into their space. How you work someone through embodiment. Can you tell my Mercury's in Virgo? I'm like, I want practical answers.
Yeah, it's good. It's good for me to play with this. I like it because otherwise I'll go into the ethereal realm and I'm like, what is that? Okay. Question: how do I do it? Okay, so I get you into a hypnotic state, a meditative state, and from that space, your conscious mind can take a back seat. So from there, your subconscious takes hold. I connect you to Mama Gaia in meditation. I connect you to Source. And in that, you're divinely connected. So you have this divine union happening between you and the universe and Source and everything. And from that, I then calm your nervous system completely so that you can just relax. And I do that using Reiki. And from there, we can then paint the picture of your desires. We can paint the picture of what you want, and we can access those, for lack of a better word, traumas that are stored within you. We can access the conditioning because you're in a safe space. We give your body permission to just be, and we let you know that you're safe. And then we can process those emotions from that space. Versus when you're in like a talk therapy situation, which again is necessary for every stage, but there's always a next stage. And I find it can be a good complementary to like where I am. So you calm the nervous system, and then you can bring up those old emotions and you can heal it right then and there. And that's the timeline jumping. You're healing the past in the present. And then once you've done that, when we're done the healing session, that no longer has a hold on you. And you come out and there's layers of healing. So sometimes you might have to do it again and go deeper again. But I've had women come to me who have healed like their father wounds. So connecting them to their inner child in this deep meditation. while I'm doing Reiki healing and leading them through meditation. I've had them connect to a father and say what they wanted to say in that moment to them, but as the adult. So sending the child out, letting the adult take hold, and then taking their power back, calling their power back. And once they do that, they've rewritten history basically within their bodies. And you move forward completely released from that. And like, that's how the shift starts. So like, that was one client. And from that moment, she never had that again. It was gone. The resentment was gone. And she could open up. Another example is like, I've been working with a couple men recently, which is very different than what I started with. And they came to me for money blockages. And what we realized is that money block is actually a heart block. And that heart block is actually connected to either a mother wound or, a mother wound that connects to relationships. Same with women, a father wound that connects to relations, heart work, soul work. And once we heal that, everything falls into place.
Just savor that for a moment. That's the whole conversation. I have felt like it is just this savory, delicious. Thank you. Thank you. I would love to trail from that into the conscious CEO and tapping into that wealth, energetic, and abundance.
The good stuff. All good stuff. Okay, so that's the fun stuff that gets to happen after we dive deep, right? Well, actually, we're continuously diving deep, let's be honest. Conscious CEO. So honestly, Natalia Benson, to plug her here, she really introduced me to that idea.
Yeah.
And what I love about it is it's not just I'm an entrepreneur. It's so much more than that. And it connects to intentionality. It connects to being conscious, being aware of what we desire, being aware of others, being in service to others in a conscious and intentional way. And that's it. And when we can anchor into that and lead with that, it's like that heart-centered business. It's that leading from a place of desire and intention versus I have to or I need to. It's like I know I get to. And the more of us that are aware of this and we can bring in, so to bring it to wealth is like the more of us that are in this conscious awareness, when we're connected consciously to source, connected consciously to the bigger picture, consciously to the collective, from that space we shift into an entirely new paradigm and we create an entire new earth basically and a new way of being, because we're no longer reliant on the external factors. We're anchored so deeply in our own sovereignty that we create from that space and then we invite others to do the same from that space. I'm not sure if that answered your question, but here we go.
Absolutely did. That was gorgeous. What are your values being a conscious CEO?
Truth, 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 compassion, and understanding comes through, but they're all one and the same. Just honesty, compassion, and holding space with integrity for others. It's my mission here to be a beacon of light for others, to be a beacon of what's possible for others. And in doing that, I want to be held in the highest integrity. And I want to be able to hold you in your highest integrity. So what that means is I'm going to hold space for your transformation. I'm going to hold space for your healing without judgment. And I'm also going to hold you to your highest level of integrity. So I'm going to invite you to rise constantly. And that's just it. That's it.
Beautiful. I can't wait for your Reiki sessions and training going on. When I first heard about Reiki seriously in 2020, when I'd first done a big transition to Alaska, and I was like, this feels like a very, like, I need to get into this. But I was choosing between that and astrology at the time. So I went for astrology. And I think that was really necessary to get me into this very firm belief and practice of energetics and spirituality and deeper in my own meditation and to see different perspectives of yoga for the matter of that fact. And so I'm really excited to have connected with you specifically out of all the people in MWMM to like see how this continues to unfold. So I'm honored for you to be here and share your medicine. To bring this to a fun little question shootout, I have 4 questions just to ask you that are random and spontaneous. And the first one is, what is your spirit animal and why?
A unicorn literally came to my mind, which is hilarious. It shifts depending on the state of where I'm at. But right now we're going to say unicorn because it is magical, regal, ethereal, and just encompasses all that I do. And then there's like a little mix of lion there because obviously lion, lioness.
Yes.
Just like the power of that, the stoic nature of that animal is just so powerful.
Yeah, it's like the unicorn has that giant mane that's just majestic blowing in the wind.
Yeah.
If anyone watches the video of this on YouTube, y'all are gonna see the hair going on here. It's fabulous today. Highly recommend. My second question is, what is one object under $100 that has changed your life that everybody needs?
Under $100 that has changed it? Meditation. It's free. Hello. Connecting to source on the daily is free. And it is all you need because all the answers are given to you in that moment of connecting.
All the answers are already within you. It's just believing in that.
Yes.
Beautiful. My third question is, what is a guilty pleasure that you have?
What is a guilty pleasure that I have? Like, what is that? I like to spend my money. I really do. But in investments in my business, that has literally been, and investing in like self-development. I don't know why that's a guilty pleasure, but hey, it is.
Hey.
And eating coconut ice cream.
Yes, coconut ice cream is so good. So good. I love it. All right. My last question.
Dancing around my apartment. That's sorry.
Dancing around my apartment. That's perfect. I love that. And then my fourth question is, if you had a magic wand that could bring awareness or change to something in the world, what would that be and why?
Just the infinite potential that exists within us when we can tune into that. Like, that's it. That is it. Like, when we anchor into that, when we connect to that, and do that daily, everything in your life changes. And from there, the ripple effect happens, right? It goes outward. When we heal, everyone around us heals, and it continues. And then we heal generations. Like, that's what we're here to do.
Yes, and it's not selfish. It ain't. Get it out of your mind if you think that, because it is the least selfish thing that you can do in the world. Just to really ground that in. Oh my God, Rebekah, you're a babe. Thank you so much for being here. Please share your offerings, anything else that you have going on, what's to come, and where to find you.
Yes. Okay. So much goodness. I just love today because it's the beginning of everything today with my new program. I have a ton of new clients starting today as well. So it's just magical. So Wealth Vortex, you're the first to know about this. So cool for you. Wealth Vortex is my new group mastermind that I'm putting together where we do basically everything we just talked about. So we get clear on what we want in life. We get clear on our new wealth identity, what that means. We expand our energetic capacity to receive because nervous system, we can, as you know, with MWMM, like when we call in money, we need to be able to hold it and we need to believe that we can hold it. And we need to release the limiting beliefs and the conditioning that tell us otherwise. And we have to feel safe in our bodies to have that. So the whole mission here is to tap into that, really expand our energetic capacity to receive, heal our womb spaces while we do so, because that is the power center of all that we co-create from. It all happens there. So really teaching us to tune in and tap into that. And it's going to be a beautiful 4-month journey of just activating that, tapping into our wealth codes, embodying our highest wealth timeline, expanding our energetic capacity to receive. It's going to be happening in September. Cannot wait. If you want to find me, it's at thewildalchemist.co on Instagram. My website is TBD at the moment in time. I'm like all on Instagram right now. Energetically, I needed to kind of refine everything. So that's the best place to find me. And then we've got my Reiki certifications coming up. And actually what I'm going to do is probably turn it into a more like packaged container, where we really tap into it's going to be called soul alchemy. So really tapping into our intuitive gifts, accessing those, being attuned to Reiki level 1 and 2 will be part of that journey. So you learn to become your own healer. And then if you choose, you can teach that to others. So it's great for healers, mentors, coaches, anyone who's interested in just becoming a healer themselves and wanting to like empower themselves. That will be something else, probably launching in October. The one-off healing sessions and attunements will be probably around that time as well. And then last but not least, I've got Divine Union, which is my one-on-one deep dive into who you came here to be, accessing your purpose, accessing your unique wealth codes, your unique purpose here on earth, and how to bring that to life.
There you have it, folks. Magic, magic, and more magic. So I'm definitely going to be looking into the Reiki 1 and 2. That's right up my alley. The Wealth Vortex sounds freaking amazing. So there's a whole lot for y'all to dive into. Rebekah, thank you so much for being who you are, for getting a concussion, for being forced to meet Source in the way that you did, and for just shining your light, for showing up as you in your most natural and divine state. You're a blessing. And everyone, please go find Rebekah. She's fabulous. Watch our YouTube. You'll get to see all of our shenanigans. You can tell there's a lot of fire energy going on here. Oh, well, thank you. I'm sure this will not be the last time we speak on the podcast. So I'm excited to talk with you more. And everyone out there, we will see you on the very next episode of Incredible Conversations.
Thank you so much.
Bye.